In this video, I'm going to demonstrate the three main ways that we've identified on how to create DTF pricing in Teesom. So the first one I'm going to talk about is our flat price based on small, medium, large, extra large sizes. Then the second option I'm going to use is going to be calculated based on a square inch with square inch breaks and quantity breaks if you need them. And then the third option is a little more complex, but it might be an option you would like where it actually calculates based on a restricted size parameter. For example, if I know a customer's logo is 3x3 and they need 50 shirts, and I know I have a limited size gang sheet of 12x22, then I will calculate how many 12x22 sheets I'll need to create 50 3x3 logos. Before we get started, I think it's smart to price similarly to how you will be charged if you are outsourcing the DTF. So for example, if your supplier charges me based on a square inch, then I'll probably want to sell it that way as well. It just makes it easier to plug in their costs and then mark it up however you want. To create any pricing in Teesom, you're going to head to the main menu, you're going to click on Pricing and Product Settings, and you're going to click on Price List. And as you can see, I've already created the DTF price list, but I am going to walk you through how I created them. So the first one I'm going to reproduce is this DTF-small, which is up to 16 square inches. So to create that, I clicked on New. I changed the service type to heat pressing. And then the service code, you can call it whatever you want. In this case, I said DTF-small dash less than or equal to 16 is what I called it. And then I just said custom DTF up to 16 square inches. Now, the sales category, you can leave this on heat press, but let's say you do CAD cut vinyl and DTF. You probably are going to want to do its own sales category called DTF. So you would simply go to the main menu, go to lists, and go to sales categories and create your own DTF sales category so that you can keep the two options separate. Now let's look at the general tab. We do want to charge tax. Again, maybe in your state you are non-taxable for that DTF, so go ahead and just pick whichever one. I'm just leaving it on my default. If I want Teesom to remind me to purchase the DTF, well then I can select the DTF supplier here and let it know that I'm going to be outsourcing that DTF. If I create it in-house, well then don't outsource it at all. So it's up to you how you want to do that. And then I do want it to link to the quantity. So for example, if I'm doing 30 t-shirts, well then I want it to do 30 DTF. And then do I want it built into the product, or do I want it to be kept as a separate line item? All right, once we have all that, go ahead and hit save. And again, I've already created that DTF price list. So the next thing I did is I went to enter the cost associated with it. And remember what at the beginning of this video, I showed you that I had a cost example where they basically said, look, up to 23 pieces, the DTF is $3. 24 to 49 pieces, it's $275, and then 50 and up would be $250. And again, this is what I am paying, so that's my cost associated with it. To calculate my retail price, all I need to do is click over here and go to Edit Retail. Let me scroll down a little bit here. Go to Edit Retail, and now I can say copy from cost. And now that I know what my cost is, maybe I just want to double it. And so I would enter this as $6, $5.50, and then here we go. This would be $5. There we go. And then go ahead and hit save. So now I've captured both my cost. There's my cost. And I've captured also the retail for it. And so this is the price that will go to the customer. All right, in a minute, we're going to show you in an order how all three price lists that I'm going to create with you is going to look like. Okay, the next price list I'm going to create is the DTF that is a flat amount based on square breaks and quantity. Again, I've already created it, but let's go ahead and show you how you're going to do it from new. So you're going to click on new, change it not to heat press, but to the squared option. And then the service code would be that DTF, and then you can call it squared, whatever you want to call it there. And then in the description, again, you really only need to say custom DTF, but you could also say calculated by square inch or anything like that. We're going to choose our DTF sales group, and here's where we need to say the number of square inch breaks. And so the example that I showed in the beginning had 4 breaks. And so I'm simply just going to type in the number 4 here. I am going to say that it is a per square inch, and we are going to select the rate option here. All right. When I go to the General tab, again, choose your tax option there, and then choose whether or not you want to outsource this to your DTF or don't outsource because you produce it in-house. And then you do want to link it to the product quantity, and you do want to more than likely build it into the product itself. So go ahead and hit save. And then here is the option that I have created. Let's go ahead and look at the edit cost. Remember, this was the cost of what it's going to cost me to purchase these. And so my bulk supplier said if it's a 1x1 area, it's going to be at a rate of 0.0450 per square inch. And so when I enter these amounts here, these are the breaks, and I'm going to pull up that supplier example here, where it basically says 1x1, 4x4, 11x11, 14x12. So what I did is I took 1x1 and calculated what's the square inch there. And so obviously 1 times 1 is 1, and then 4x4 is up to 16 square inches. The 11x11 would be up to 121 square inches, and then the 14x12 would be 168 square inches. And so now, as you can see on the price list, it said, hey, we are going to charge you 0.0450 per square inch when it's up to 1x1, and then we're going to charge you 0.72 when it's up to 16 square inches, and then 544 when it's up to 121, and so on. And so all I did was enter that in as my cost. All right, once we hit save, now we can actually come over here to the edit retail, and we can first bring in the cost. So I'm going to change what I already have saved in there, and I'm literally going to say, hey, bring in the cost. I just created that cost, bring it in here under the retail. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my global price changes to say how much do I want to mark that cost up. So in this example, if I want to do a 50% markup, I would simply type in 50 under the percentage and then hit save. And so now it is showing me what the retail price is now, up to 1 square inch, up to 16 square inches, and up to 121. And of course, I have my quantity breaks in here as well. All right, let's go ahead and hit save. All right, the third option I'm going to be showing you is with the gang sheets. Again, I've already created the gang sheet price list. Okay, I've got the gang sheet price list right here. I have entered 2 of them in, where one's using the 12 by 22 inch sheet and the other one's using the 24 by 22 inch sheet. So let's recreate those. I'm going to click on new, and this time I'm going to use the other option. And here, again, I can just call this DTF gang sheet. And then here again, only thing I need to type in there is custom DTF. I'll use DTF as my sales category. And then in the general tab, set your tax, say whether or not you want to outsource it, and then do you want to link it to the product quantity? No, you do not. Because in this case, if I do 30 shirts or 50 shirts, I don't want it to say use one gang sheet for every piece. I want to be able to say use 3 gang sheets for 50 quantity t-shirts. So I'm going to uncheck the link to product quantity, but I still want it to build into the product. And this is going to be important when I show you how to add this to the shirt. All right, let's go ahead and hit save. And then here's my example of the 12 by 22. Let's go ahead and go into our costs first. And let me bring up the gang sheet of 12 by 22 just so you can view that, so you can see what the vendor is going to be charging me. And as you can see on this gang sheet that's 12 by 22, the setup is free. The quantity says 1 to 9 pieces, it's $9.99, and 10 quantity and up is $8.49. So that's literally what I entered here. And you do that, let me just go ahead and enter those again just to show you. You must always start with 0. So think of 0 as your 1, and then you're going to type in $9.99, add row, and then here I would say 10. Change that to the $8.49, add row, and then there you go, save. Okay, so now let's look at how you're going to do the retail. So again, click on edit retail, and I can say copy from cost again to remind me, and it's also going to give me those quantity breaks automatically. And then I can just come in here and say, look, I just want to double this. So if this is $9.99, maybe I'll just make this a flat 20. And if this is $8.50, I'll make it a flat 17 or $18, whatever I want to do there. And then once I have those entered, I'll hit save. And now I'm good to go with that gang sheet price. So super easy to create, but this one's going to be a little bit more complex to actually add to the order. So let's do that now. So as you can see, I've already got a quote that I've created with the products in it. So I have my job 1, which is going to be my DTF with a flat price. In this case, I'm going to use a small sized heat press pricing. And in each job, I've got 50 black 5,000 shirts, and they all are coming up at $456 for the small to extra large, and the 2X $11.50. I have not overridden any pricing in anything. Job 2 is going to be my DTF, where I'm using the pricing by squared inch. And then the third option is going to be using the gang sheet pricing. Let's start with the easiest one here, and I'm just going to click on the plus sign here to add the new imprint. So we're doing a piece of art for a company called Unified Technology Solutions. So I'm going to click on new imprint, and then here I'm just saying what the design is that's going on this. All right, here I'm going to say it's a left chest. And here is where I'm going to say, hey, we're just going to use that heat press option. So I'm going to click on the heat press, I'll click on the drop down, and then there are the sized options that I've created. So I've created this small, medium, large, extra large, and again, for this example, I'm just going to use the small option. And so small is less than or equal to 16 squared inches. That's the assumption there. Here's where I would type in the instructions, and then when I hit save and edit, and when I hit the green upload arrow, this is now where I can upload the design. So here I'm just using the design that the customer provided to me. So there we go. And then I'll go ahead and hit save. So I've got 50 shirts, and the shirt alone was $456 for the small to extra large, $11.50 for the 2XL. The heat press price came in as a flat $5, and that is being built into the price of the shirt. I know that because this little icon is engaged here, and I can see that it's been added to that. Now, I also brought in a DTF setup fee. You do not have to add a setup fee at all. This is just something I threw in for the heck of it. And if you did want to build that into the price of the shirt as well, all you have to do is click on that little icon to do that as well. So now final price $9.96 for everything small to extra large, and then $16.90 for the 2XL. Okay, pretty easy, pretty straightforward. If I did need to change that to a larger size, well then I would just click this drop down here, and then you could see what the medium price would be for that. And so now we're looking at $11 as opposed to $5. So let me quickly switch that back there. There we go. And now we can go ahead and focus on our job 2. This is now the option to do by a square inch. So this time when I come over here to new imprint, going to do the exact same thing. I'm going to type in Unified Tech as the design. I'm going to say it's a left chest. And then this time, instead of the heat pressing, I'm going to select the squared option. And then here, I'm going to scroll down to my DTF squared amount. And then I'm going to simply type in the dimensions of what I'm looking at. So if that option was 2x3, for example. All right, and same thing, if I need to type any instructions in here, I will type those and then save and edit to upload my image. Okay, and now I can hit save. And so now let's focus just on job 2 here. And as you can see, the price of the shirts are $4.56 for just the shirt. We now have a price coming in for the squared inch, and remember it's 6 squared inches. And so now for 50 pieces, 6 square inches, I have a price now of $6.48. If I was to change the square inches, let's say, oh, I made a mistake, it's 2x4, now it's 8 squared inches, so when I hit save, now the price has changed. And again, you can set up that pricing however you want based on the squared inch. All right, the last option, as I mentioned earlier, is a little bit more complex than the other two, but it might be the result you're looking for. So for example, I'm going to go ahead and click on new imprint, and this is the option, don't forget, that's going to use the gang sheet. So same thing here, I'm going to put Unified Tech in there. I'm going to say it's a left chest, and over here, instead of heat press, instead of squared, I'm going to go to the other option. And this time we will see there are 2 gang sheets in here. One that is a size of 12 by 22 and one that is a size by 24 by 22. So whichever gang sheet option I'm going to use, in this case I'm going to use that 12 by 22. It is now going to return a flat price for 1 gang sheet. But then the most important thing I'm going to do is calculate how many of the logos, and let's just say it's that 2x4 inch logo, and it's now going to calculate that, you know, hey, this is the price for 1 gang sheet. So what I have to do now is figure out how many 2x4 logos can I get on that gang sheet. Let's go ahead and fill out the rest of the information, and then we'll look at this actually in my Corel Draw, and I'm going to show you what that looks like. Okay, I forgot I made this design 3x3. So I created a sheet that is 12 by 22, and I decided, hey, if I do a 3x3 logo, I can comfortably fit 24 3x3 logos on a 12 by 22 sheet. So if they order 50 pieces, I can't get away with 2 sheets. I would literally have to move to ordering 3 sheets, and then I would have extra pieces. And so this is where I may want to set it up and say, okay, well, how many can I get on a 24 by 22 sheet? So this is really where that ordering the right sheet is going to come into play. But I kind of like the idea of having extras there. All right. Now that we see this, let's go ahead and go back to our Teesom. Okay, so 3x3 logo. It now came in with a price for one gang sheet at $20. And this is so important that when you set this up, it does not sync with the quantity of the shirts, because it would want to add 50 gang sheets here at $20, and then the customer would probably faint, and you really don't want to charge that anyway. So remember, I needed to do 50 pieces, so I'm using 3 gang sheets. So I'm going to come over here and change the quantity to 3. And so now I'm going to hit save, and now it's doing 3 charges of $20, and it came out for 50 pieces that I'm charging $1.20 per piece. So pretty cool stuff, and notice I'm saving a huge amount of money if I'm doing the gang sheet route. It might definitely be the way to go, especially if you're doing large quantities. Now, you also have to take into consideration that the company you're buying the gang sheets from might say, look, your minimum purchase of gang sheets has to be 5 sheets or something like that. So again, all this needs to be kept in mind. Just a quick recap. I set these price lists up 3 different ways. The first one, I used the heat press pricing, and it just returned a flat amount for a small area that was less than 16 square inches. The second one is by square inch, so I'm using the squared pricing, where I physically type in, hey, this was 2 by 4 inches design, and it's doing 8 total square inches, and using a rate to calculate the final price there. And then that's built into the shirt. And then the last option is based on gang sheets that I can create. And I'm using a specific sized gang sheet. Oh, let's actually look at the 24 by 22 option here. And so again, maybe I don't need 3 sheets now. Maybe I only need 2 sheets. Or again, I haven't set it up yet, but maybe we only need 1 sheet. And so now it's, depending on how many sheets I need for that larger size, it could change the price as well. I hope you make good use of all these options. And the reason I stress that this is heat press, this is squared, and this is other, because the gang sheet is using the other category, is because those are going to appear on your calendar in different sections. So, for example, if I go to the job board and I want to filter by everything heat press, I would click on this, and that's where the heat press, the up to 16 squared inches would appear. And then if I click on this option, this is where the 2 by 4 8 squared inches would appear. And then if I am doing the gang sheet, it would appear under the other. So that's also important for you to decide, hey, where do I want this to appear? All right, I think I've given you about as much information on DTF pricing as I possibly can for now. So please, if you have any additional questions, do not hesitate to call us, and we hope you enjoyed this video. Please hit the subscribe button if you'd like to be notified of future videos from Teesom. Thanks.